And it sounds kind of abstract and academic as we talk about these things and belief and reality and all of this stuff. But let me give a quick illustration to show that there's probably nothing more practical than what we're talking about. So belief is kind of the final product. So we're going to start there and then work our way back on how do we end up with the beliefs that we have and what other people think. Now, there's all kinds of ways to believe in the big picture, isn't there? We could be a Richard Dawkins fan, and we could take his type of view that the universe is basically a fluke, no ultimate authority or designer in it. If anything, we're our own gods in this respect. We make up our own rules. There's nobody else here to make them up. The universe is really, as far as functionally, is just whatever we prefer it to be. In this line of thinking, since there is no authority over us, then we set our own rules and we can tear down old conventions. Who says we can't? We can go after pleasure wherever we want. Who says we can't? We can be whatever gender we want. Who says we can't? As a matter of fact, let's make up a couple more. I think I mentioned that on one form there were 9 genders that were listed on it. I'm trying to think of how the body parts work that way. Well, actually, the way it works, it had nothing to do with the absolute reality of your body parts. It was your preference and how you use them, and that set your gender in that line of thinking. Can you see, if you think this way, if that's your belief, it's going to take you on a certain course in life, to a certain destiny in life. So belief will set up your destiny, and relativism is one way. So let's take that for a road test, if you will. In modern thinking, one of the fathers of modern thinking is a great friend. I think Ron has his poster up on his wall. Friedrich Nietzsche, right? No, sir, Ron doesn't. He really doesn't. But Friedrich Nietzsche was a German philosopher. Right there, he's in the pure time of Darwin, which is really interesting because Nietzsche thought Darwin was silly. Yeah, he didn't believe in evolution. He had his own ideas. But Nietzsche wrote things like this in his works. We deny God. That's probably, if I mention the name Nietzsche and you have any idea, you think of the God is Dead essay that he wrote. We deny God. In denying God, we deny accountability. It's kind of what we said. If there's no God, there's no authority there, right? And in denying accountability, then we claim morality is either an illusion or just something that's totally relative. There is no morality, period, or it's relative. Nietzsche's view was this, is that there would be, from our thinking, the rise of an amoral Superman. Amoral meaning not good moral, not bad moral, just no morals. It's not even an issue. Übermensch was the name of this Superman. Okay, well, how did this turn out with Nietzsche? Well, he died in 1900s. Interesting enough, during his time, this is the total number, he sold like 400 books in his entire life. So he didn't die a well-known man. He became to gain momentum after that, and a lot of it dealt with one individual in particular. And this in particular, this guy started putting out his first works in 1925. It's 25 years after Nietzsche, percolated Nietzsche and Darwin actually, and combined them together. And he put out a first volume of a work called Mein Kampf. So anybody know who wrote that book? Yep. So here we are with Nietzsche's idea and Darwin's own type of a whole other version of it, but basically the same thing in denying morality, denying any absolutes, but rather that everything happened in this way. Hitler used this in his thinking, and well, we all know how that turned out. So, if I really wanted to see what somebody's destiny is, and anybody who's been around people in hospice maybe got this idea, when I see somebody really thinks of their life, see what the last words are that they say of themselves. Maybe someone else, but especially if they say something of their own life. Here's Paul at the end of his life. Here's what he says. I have fought the good fight. I have finished the race. I have kept the faith. Finally, there is laid up for me the crown of righteousness, which the Lord, the righteous judge, will give to me on that day, and not to me only, but to all who have loved his appearing. And he was telling this to Timothy in his last days. Does that sound pretty good for a destiny? To be able to end your life and say, I have fought the good fight. I have ended right. And there is waiting, when I leave this place, a crown of righteousness for me, a final reward. Now, let's go back to our friend Nietzsche. Now, keep in mind, we know that Nietzsche was not quite in his right mind when he died, because in all of this bohemian living that he was doing, that because there were no morals, he ended up with syphilis. And there was no treatment for syphilis, so he essentially went insane, being one of the advanced symptoms. But at his end, he writes this, and the quote that seems to go around, "Mother, I am dumb," starts. I take it this is kind of a German way of saying I've been a fool. But he had, in his final works, I think he puts his own life into other characters that he was writing. He wrote about the Emperor Tiberius. I think he was talking about his own life in this. And he writes this, "Life is a long death. I am a fool who shortened the lives of so many. Was I created for the purpose of being a benefactor, I should have given them eternal life, and then I could have seen them die eternally." Basically, coming down to this, life has been nothing but death. And if you could give life forever to somebody, all they would be doing is dying eternally. And if I'm a benefactor of anything, that's what I'm a benefactor. Let me ask you, what would you like your final words to be? The Paul words or the Nietzsche words? Your beliefs set you to a destiny. And in that alone, not all destinies are equal, are they? Nietzsche's was not equal to Paul's. So then all beliefs are not equal. We were told to have respect, and we're told to try and understand where people are coming from. But even at that is not to say that all beliefs are equal. Some beliefs take you nowhere. Some beliefs will take you to a bad place. Some beliefs are downright deadly. And on the other side, there are beliefs that will do good, and then, and safe to say, maybe ultimate good.